Botham Jean's family sues City of Dallas former cop Amber Guyger for killing him. This was updated Friday.
The family of a 26-year-old accountant slain in his home by a Dallas police officer who said she mistook his apartment for hers filed suit Friday against the city and the cop who killed him. Amber Guyger was off-duty but in uniform when she shot and killed Botham Jean on September 6 at Southside Flats down the street from Dallas Police Headquarters in the Cedars neighborhood. Amber Guyger was arrested 3 days after Botham Jean was killed and lost her job 15 days after that. Kaufman County Sheriff's Office. The federal lawsuit says Guyger used excessive force and violated Jean's constitutional and civil rights and that Dallas Police Chief Renee Hall, the city council and city manager failed to implement and enforce such policies, practices, and procedure for the DPD that respected Jean's constitutional rights. Guyger, 30, was charged with manslaughter 3 days after Jean's death. She was later fired from the Dallas Police Department. Interim City Attorney Chris Casso said Friday evening only that he was aware of the lawsuit and had no comment. Guyger's attorney in the criminal case, Robert Rogers, also declined to comment. He has previously said Guyger is completely devastated by what happened and described the shooting as a tragic mistake. Although Guyger wasn't on the clock at the time of the shooting, a court could find the city liable if she used her authority as a police officer when she shot Jean. But the city will certainly argue Guyger acted as a startled resident returning to what she thought was her home. The lawsuit was filed by Jean's parents, Allison and Bertram Jean, who live on the Caribbean island of St. Lucia, and his sister, Alisa Findley of New York. Jean grew up in St. Lucia but came to the U.S. for college at Harding University in Arkansas and then found a job as an accountant at PricewaterhouseCoopers in Dallas. He planned to one day return home, where his mother is a former government official, to run for prime minister. The lawsuit will most likely be put on hold until the criminal charge against Guyger winds its way through criminal court. A grand jury could indict her for manslaughter, murder, or another charge. It could also decide she should not be charged with a crime.
Murder or manslaughter.
A grand jury will ultimately decide whether a Dallas police officer should be charged with murder or manslaughter or nothing at all for killing Botham Jean in his own apartment. But defense attorneys who've handled hundreds of murder cases say murder is the charge that best fits the case against Amber Guyger, who says she mistook Jean for an intruder. Amber Guyger, Kaufman County Jail. She intended to kill the burglar, defense attorney Brad Lawler said. Her thought process was, I'm going to shoot the bad guy. The same legal experts say critics demanding justice should be careful what they wish for because a murder case may be easier to defend. Advertising in Reed invented by Ted's for her part. Dallas County District Attorney Faith Johnson says her office's investigation will collect all relevant evidence for its own investigation. The Texas Rangers made the decision to issue an arrest warrant for manslaughter, she said Monday. Now this case is in the hands of the Dallas County District Attorney. Sponsored content mobilizing to bring fresh food to southern Dallas by Toyota. Johnson defended the work of the Department of Public Safety but also said that her office is in charge now and her staff will get to the bottom of everything. We will make certain that justice is done in this case, she added. The grand jury will be able to look at all aspects of this case, which will include anything from murder, manslaughter, or what have you. The officers side Guyger told police that she accidentally parked on the wrong floor and mistook Jean's apartment for her own. The victim's apartment is directly above hers, on the 4th floor of the Southside Flats where they both lived. Guyger, who was still in uniform, told investigators that the door was unlocked when she got there and she mistook Jean for a burglar when she fired her gun twice, striking Jean once in the chest. Law enforcement is also looking into whether residents heard Guyger knocking on the door. So why is Guyger charged with manslaughter not murder in Jean's death? Dallas Police Chief Renee Hall, with State Senator Royce West, called on the Texas Rangers to conduct an independent investigation into last week's deadly shooting. Shabana Thuman/staff photographer, when does a homicide lead to a manslaughter charge? According to the Texas Penal Code, a person commits an offense if he recklessly causes the death of an individual. Prosecutors must prove Guyger acted recklessly to make a manslaughter case stick. A person acts recklessly by consciously disregarding a substantial and unjustifiable risk that the circumstances exist or the result will occur. Longtime defense attorney Brooke Busby said the manslaughter charge doesn't fit what law enforcement said happened in Guyger's arrest warrant affidavit. We don't know all the facts, but the facts in the affidavit don't appear to match the manslaughter charge, because the act of shooting him wasn't reckless, Busby said. According to the affidavit, in her mind, it was intentional. Defense attorney John Creuzot, a former judge and prosecutor running against Johnson for district attorney, said in similar cases, suspects are charged with murder. The Guyger case is a deviation from the norm, he said. I am not aware of a case in which a person shoots another person in the torso, with death as the result, and is charged with manslaughter, Creuzot said. In Dallas County, the long-standing practice of our law enforcement agencies, in similar cases, has been to charge suspects with murder. When does a homicide lead to a murder charge? If the person intentionally or knowingly causes the death of an individual and intends to cause serious bodily injury and commits an act clearly dangerous to human life, according to the Penal Code. If Guyger is charged with murder, prosecutors must prove she intended to cause or she knew firing her gun could cause serious bodily injury. And murder, said Lawler, is the right charge for Guyger. Could going to the wrong home be reckless if Guyger confused Jean's apartment with her own? Botham Shem Jean, Facebook. The term reckless only applies to firing the weapon, said Lawler, who has handled more than 400 murder cases as a private defense attorney and with the Dallas County Public Defender's Office. He said it's about Guyger's mental state when she pulled the trigger. It doesn't apply to going to the wrong apartment or not, he said. It means when she pulled the trigger, was she reckless? Did she disregard the risk? Judging from what Guyger told police, Lawler said, she did not act recklessly. If she is saying, the door opened, I saw a figure, I thought it was a burglar, I thought it was my house, Lawler said, there is nothing reckless about pulling the trigger. She intended to pull the trigger. Botham Jean was shot and killed inside his apartment Thursday after Dallas officer Amber Guyger said she entered his apartment thinking it was hers at the South Side Flats in Dallas. Guyger was charged Sunday with manslaughter. Vernon Bryant / staff photographer, what defense can Guyger offer in court? If Guyger is charged with murder, Lawler said, she could argue that she made a mistake of fact. With a murder charge, defense attorneys can also say Guyger was defending her property at nighttime, that she acted in self-defense and that she was stopping a burglary in progress. All of those arguments could be couched with a main theory of a defense, that she made a mistake of fact. She was wrong in believing there was a burglary because she said she mistook Jean's apartment for her own. If a jury believes she was telling truth that she was mistaken, that is an excuse under Texas law, Lawler said. By filing a manslaughter charge instead of murder, law enforcement is depriving her of defenses she would have under a murder charge. Creuzot said prosecutors must counter this argument and show jurors Guyger did not have a reason to fire her weapon. It will be incumbent on the prosecution to show that she did not have justification such as the use of deadly force for self-defense, or deadly force to prevent the other's imminent commission of arson, burglary, robbery, aggravated robbery, or theft during the nighttime or criminal mischief during the nighttime, Creuzot said. Lawler said that, in theory, Guyger could testify at a manslaughter trial and tell jurors that she did not act recklessly, she acted intentionally. He said that could lead to an acquittal if she is ultimately charged with manslaughter. What punishment does she face? Murder is punishable by 5 years to life in prison. Manslaughter convictions carry a punishment range of 2 to 20 years in prison.
Okay, here's the arrest affidavit warrant. I'll increase the size and let you read it for yourself because I don't want to read it out loud, but I'll hold it here and you can just stop the tape if you want to read it.